We start here this hour. The Meyiwa Murder Trial continues today. Back on the stand for cross-examination is Meyiwa's childhood best friend, Silindelo Madlala. The defense in the case has accused Madlala of being evasive in his answers. Another interesting development in the story, a lawyer representing Meyiwa's then-girlfriend, Kelly Khumalo, has been denied access to court documents. eNCA Silindelo Masikane has been covering the story for us and joins us to give us a little bit more. Good morning, Silindelo. A very interesting day yesterday, starting with just that letter by Madlala. She requested the watching brief, but it was rejected. Just give us a summation of what we saw in court yesterday.
Yeah, that's what we saw in terms of court proceedings resuming, dealing with a side issue, perhaps with regards to a request by Madlala to return to the courtroom on a watch brief for her client, Ms. Kelly Khumalo. She had written a letter to the judge. However, the judge simply maintained his previous ruling on this issue back in April, when Munsami was requested to leave the courtroom because counsel has raised a number of issues in terms of her request, in particular the latest one where she's requesting court transcripts. She's requesting access to the two dockets, counsel saying that she's jeopardizing the purity of proceedings, saying that her presence inside court would compromise the case and also prejudice the accused who are currently in the dock. So counsel, in terms of the state and the defense, objecting to the request, but the judge in agreement, saying that it simply does not make sense for Munsami to request to have sight of these dockets and to request to be inside court for proceedings, saying that she's definitely, it's not like she can't access the broadcast, which is actually something that was raised by Advocate Silindelo Masikane, to say that the proceedings in themselves are compromised due to the fact that witnesses are able to watch proceedings live. This trial is being broadcast, it's being live streamed, so it's not as though Ms. Munsami cannot fulfill her mandate in terms of a watch brief for Kelly Khumalo, but in particular the request to have sight of court documents and transcripts and access to dockets, that was simply put by the judge as being unacceptable. So today we resume, Fundo, with cross-examination of Silindelo Madlala. We saw Titi Tubane once more going into a lot of detail around raising the inconsistencies between the testimony in court and several statements that Madlala has made. Now, Tubane has a tough task in a sense that Madlala has identified one of his clients, accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, as being one of the two intruders in that house on that fateful evening. And what Tobane was trying to show the court yesterday was that Madlala's testimony, or his doc identification in particular, cannot be relied upon by the court, or the court rather cannot put too much weight on it, due to the fact that on previous occasions during investigations, Madlala could not give a description to investigators when they were looking to sketch the identifications of the intruders. Now, what's also come out is that the judge, Meyiwa Murder Trial, has on several occasions had to caution Madlala in terms of his attitude in court. He seems to be argumentative when it comes to answering questions. When Tobane tries to get a yes or no answer, Madlala just kind of goes around the question and answers questions with questions. We spoke to legal expert Mr. Zola Majabu in terms of what inferences the court can make out of a witness who seemingly refuses to answer questions directly. This is what he had to say.
The court, remember, at the end of the day, it has to make a credibility finding against the performance and testimony of a witness. And this is precisely why in such cases, the court must observe the deportment and the demeanor of a witness. The inference that the court may draw is that this particular witness is not credible, is evasive, and the weight that the court may attach to his testimony will be significantly reduced, simply on account of his evasiveness. Even to answer very simple questions, he does come across as a bit argumentative and a tinge of arrogance, in my view. So I don't think it's a good performance for him. He's definitely going to do the state's gate serious harm, because the weight that may be attached to his testimony is seriously going to be eroded by this type of conduct. You don't answer questions with questions when you're under cross-examination. You answer to the best of your ability, short and sweet. If there's a need to amplify, you can do so, but you cannot be evasive at all. It's not a good showing.
All right, Silindelo, so we expect proceedings to get underway again at 10 o'clock this morning with Madlala, am I correct?
Certainly, so court proceedings are expected to start at around 10 a.m. It's just after 9:30 where we start to see some activity taking place in the court in terms of the accused being brought up from the holding cells and the gallery then filling up. We do have the Meyiwa sisters who are here from Durban to observe the proceedings. They have a keen interest in terms of what Madlala has to say, because of course this is somebody they know from Mlazi. This is somebody that Senzo grew up with, and so they are interested to hear exactly what he has to say about what happened on that fateful evening, as somebody who was very close to the Meyiwa family. So we will be starting at around 10 a.m. With the continuation, it seems TC Tobane for accused 1 to 4 is quite close to wrapping up in terms of his cross-examination. Then we will have Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number 5. We don't know how long she intends to keep Madlala in the witness box, but at some point we will see re-examination of Madlala by the state. And then possibly later on this week, we could see a new witness, the 4th witness, taking to the stand. So we will be bringing you those visuals live here on DSTV channel 403 Mfundo.